speculation how much of it may be extraterrestrial and how much of it may be terrestrial-based.
Like we probably kept going back there?
Well, there is some speculation to say that we have the technology and the capabilities of going back there, and there are other countries that have talked and devoted sections of their, gross national product to set up facilities on the moon and to explore the mining potential. So it's not a far-fetched concept. It actually, that and the asteroid belt would provide a great deal of raw essential material, and perhaps we could give our own planet a little bit of a break here.
If we're going back, why are we keeping it a secret when we kept the first groupings of Apollo missions so public?
Well, that particular program, of course, was at the inspiration of President Kennedy when he challenged us to put forward a progressive space program, and that it would unite and not only people in their thinking and education and technology, but unite economies as well, to give an opposite direction towards the same old status quo, so to speak. And so that program and those programs were, of course, very visible because the administration's honor, so to speak, rested upon the continuance. Those were the good things, and obviously, as the Vietnam War escalated, we needed good news for a change, and so those programs continue to be very much in the forefront. Then, of course, after Apollo 17 in the mid-1970s, there were so many budget cuts. There was a great amount of questioning of why we would spend money to go into space when obviously we needed a great deal of funds to fix problems here on this planet. And so basically, for lack of anything better, public support simply evaporated. And then it was very easy to cut these programs and then completely throw it off.
You think they're black ops trips?
I would not be surprised if they're black op trips. Because, naturally we are experimenting. Nothing ever stands still. When we look at the development of our research and development of Skunk's works and things like that, the public generally gets sight of these things, 1 decade or sometimes 2 decades after the development itself.
Sure.
And nothing ever stands still. We never completely kill any program. We never, completely whitewash it. There's always something going on behind the scenes. And I would not for a minute doubt that the benefits of going to the moon were very obvious, and that we have continued to go there.
How would they launch without the public seeing they can't do it from Kennedy?
There's different ways to look at that. Of course, there are other launch facilities that are available, one in the Indian Ocean, and so, you launch from that particular facility, and you can be in equatorial orbit, wave a long time before you get to the West Coast. Or, of course, there have been others who have suggested that we have progressed past the fiery vehicle, strap yourself to a missile technology, and develop technology that does not require to sit on the back of a Saturn V.
What kind of materials, if indeed it is us, what kind of materials do you think they're mining from the moon?
Well, there's a number of benefits there from the moon. Working in that particular environment, of course, is very arduous, but the access to raw materials, one report once came out and said that the type of materials that we now mine off of our planet, as far as things like titanium, gold, diamonds, industrial-type composites that we use, and so on and so forth, is much more readily available and much more abundant on that satellite body.
Well, but aren't diamonds created from carbon? I don't think there's carbon on the moon.
Well, that's a debatable point. I mean, obviously, a satellite body is developed from the same materials the planet is developed from, in one stage or another. So would it be so outrageous to expect that over a period of time, minerals develop and other, perhaps, alterations of certain things that could be beneficial is also available as well? And after all, diamond for all intents and purposes, a very common stone. If it would not be held back by the diamond consortiums, you could buy it for $1 a carat. So it's more of intrinsic value than it really is a substance.
If this program is ongoing, and we say that it's black ops, might it also be done without the knowledge of NASA, official knowledge of NASA? Because here we are struggling with a space shuttle program, and in areas like that, and if indeed there's black ops with better technology, I got to believe NASA doesn't know anything about it.
I would certainly agree with that conclusion. Just because one agency is specifically specialized in one particular thing, you have to remember that it is really a consortium of military officers that have a certain amount of input from the Pentagon and what have you. So there are many different input leads into NASA. And naturally, if information doesn't want to be given, then people go about their daily jobs. You have very dedicated engineers who are trying to work on the space shuttle program on a device that's 25 years old. And you have dedicated people who are working at all the data that comes in from all the various programs that these people have said, we have no way, we don't have the staff or personnel to analyze it. It goes into rooms and closed in cold environment file cabinets, and there it sits. Nobody takes a look at it. So these people are hired to do a job, and it doesn't mean that they have access to other things that are going on, and that's quite clear. Might
we be dealing with several things here, Glenn, and that could be the possibility of an ongoing moon visitation program here, and also, though, alien bases that have been there for, as you say, eons. And maybe there's something else going on the moon as well that they're going there for beyond just looking for minerals in other materials.
In what
well, maybe if there are, as you believe, in alien bases there, maybe there's some working relationship there?
Interaction? I mean, that would come to a common conclusion. I mean, you go somewhere and somebody else is there, you usually go by and say, hello, we're in the neighborhood.
Or you're there with their blessing.
Well, yeah, I don't believe that it's necessarily an ownership issue. Remember, the Treaty of 1967 demilitarizes space and the moon to no particular country's empowerment. Whether they're still honoring that treaty, well, that's a different story. But if we go there, I don't see any reason why we would not be welcomed. And if we went there aggressively, then certainly our technology is way under theirs. So that would be a rather foolish course of action.
Before we get into what you believe our astronauts saw when they first went to the moon, let's see if we rule this in or out. What about the possibilities that these bases were put there by us, but by past civilizations that might have existed on this planet thousands and thousands, if not millions of years ago?
Well, that's an interesting question. It would be a theory to look into, but it would be, since the data would be so old or records very difficult to decipher, that would be up to the individuals who dedicate their time to that particular avenue.
In your opinion, then, these structures on the moon, these bases on the moon that you believe are there, were put there by whom?
Initially, I believe they were put there by extraterrestrial visitors. And then I believe over a period of time, we've had an opportunity to pool our scientific capabilities and also visit the moon as well in a more permanent nature.
When the Apollo astronauts went to the moon, starting in 1969, what do you think they started to see when they were on the moon?
Well, of course, that would be up for the Apollo astronauts to divulge. However, there have been reports that some of these astronauts, in fact, there is a very interesting book put out by Maurice Chatelain, who holds the patents for the Apollo communication system. And in his book, Our Ancestors Came from Outer Space, he conclusively says that every single spaceflight mission, both in orbit and to the moon and back, was accompanied or came into the presence of extraterrestrial spacecrafts. so he feels that our people were never unaccompanied or, to say, abandoned in space should something go wrong.
Do you think they, and this is all speculation on your part here, but do you think our astronauts expected to be